Hello all you people out there, this is Michael of 2.5 Studios and welcome back to another one of these Game Maker data structures videos. Alright, took me 3 tries to get that intro right. I kept calling data structures other ridiculous things. But, firstly, sorry that I haven't made one of these videos in a while. I have this thing called real life, and unfortunately, it's been a little bit more of a pain than I'd like it to be, and also unfortunately, maybe not, these videos take longer to make than other videos I make do, and as a result, I never really had time to sit down and do this, but I'm here now, so priority queues. This is the last one of the data structures that Game Maker supports, and it's the last one of them that I'm going to be talking about here. Now, these are similar to the regular queue data structures, and I generally would say that these data structures videos of mine don't have to be watched in any particular order because they're all kind of independent of each other, but in this case I would recommend at least being familiar with a queue, a linked list in other words, if you're not already. So, what is a priority queue? Well, if you're very familiar with computer science, then you may recognize this thing as a heap. Although, if you're very familiar with computer science, I do kind of wonder why you're watching this video, not a more advanced one, but okay. And what that means is that you add objects to the structure, and they're automatically sorted based on the priority that they're given. Instead of just adding a piece of information to the queue, you would give it the piece of information you want to add and its priority. And the objects, well, not necessarily objects, but I guess entities, I'll call them. Yeah, entities sounds alright. With the greater priority float to the top, and the one with the lower priority float down to the bottom. And that can be a little bit difficult to wrap your head around. So what I've done here is I've taken this this little level 1 type room here, and if it'll compile a little bit faster, that'll be awesome. Alright, here we go. Let's see. So I have these lovely objects, these little colored dots that are supposed to sort of represent items in an inventory. And they've got random colors, and you'll notice that when I pick them up, instead of getting added in the order that I picked them up, they're being sorted by color. And if I were to go all the way to the end, apparently I got no blue dots this time. That's kind of interesting. The red is sorted all the way at the left, and the purple is sorted all the way at the right. So that's in the order of the color of the rainbow, which is kind of awesome. Now, how to do this? Well, the priority, in this case, that I'm assigning to the objects that I'm adding to the priority queue, by the way, when you create it, obviously you're going to say the variable that you're looking at equals dsPriority create, as with all the other structures. Now, when you do this, in this case in the collision event, when you add the object to the queue, you're going to add to the inventory queue. The value that you're adding is the object's ID, so that, well, instance ID in technical terms, and the priority that you're giving them is going to be the image index, and that works because over in here, is that what I'm looking for? That's not what I'm looking for. Which one am I looking for? Here we go. The sprite of the little power-up objects here has a couple sub-images, and they're just going to be the color of the rainbow. And that way, when you add them to the queue, I'm going to try and arrange this so that you can see it all on the screen. The purple, blue, and green ones are going to have lower image indexes, 0, 1, and 2, and they're going to float to the bottom of the queue. And yellow, orange, and red are going to have higher indexes, so those are going to be 4, 5, and 3, 4, and 5, sorry. I can count starting from 0, and they're going to float to the top. So that's simple enough. It actually took me a little while to come up with this the visual solution for this video, but never mind that. Now, when you draw them, I'm going to be lazy here and go into the draw event. Here we're going to create a copy of the inventory so that we can just mess around with it. And we're going to say turn this variable into a queue and then copy the contents of inventory over to inventory 2. And now we have a second duplicate that we can just mess around with and stuff. And now this while loop, it's basically going to just iterate through all the values in the queue, starting from the highest priority and ending with the lowest, and it's just going to put them at the proper place on the screen. And in this case, the proper place on the screen would be a mathematical expression in pixels on the screen. You can also, unlike a regular queue, you can say min, if I can spell that, min, and if you were to do this, they would show up on the screen in reverse order. And red would flow all the way to the right, and purple would flow all the way to the left. I'm not getting any blue squares here. It's kind of weird. I wonder if there's like an error or something like that that's causing that to happen. But it's just the opposite of what it was before. So that works. Excellent. Now, what else you can do with this? I can see somebody has uploaded a video to YouTube. I'm going to do a cheat sheet thing and come over here to the manual. You have the usual create, destroy, clear, empty, size functions. You have copy, read, and write, which are common to all of GameMaker's data structures. You also have DS priority, change priority, and that will just take one of the entities in the queue and change its priority to whatever you want it to. So you could, if you wanted to, take the first value in the queue, the one with the highest priority, and change it to 0 to make it last in the queue. And to demonstrate that real quick, I'm going to go and give me a couple seconds. That is running off the screen. I should resize that window. You can do something like this. So priority, change priority, and the first instance in the queue, and you're going to make its priority 0. So this is presumably going to be have a priority of 6 because it'll probably have that as its sprite index, or image index rather, the frame of the sprite animation. So we're going to do this real quickly, and we're going to collect a bunch of wonderfully colored dots. I think that's enough. And we have a red one, so we're going to hit Q. And the first red one has gone and had its priority set to 0. Now if you do that a bunch of times, it's going to get a little bit confusing because of the underlying implementation of the priority queue within GameMaker. And you're going to have a bunch of objects with priority of 0. And they're not going to, the game isn't really going to care which one is which. So right now they're all 0, and when I add a couple, they don't go anywhere. I do that and it gets sorted pretty much randomly. So do be careful with that. Don't just assign them all to the same value like I did, because then you're probably going to get an otherwise unsorted set of values that isn't very useful to you. But that's change priority. Other than that, you have a delete max, delete min, delete value, so you can just delete any given value with pretty much a similar calling form to change priority, but instead of changing the priority to whatever, you're going to just delete it from the queue. You have find min, find max, and find priority. So that's all pretty simple. And as usual, as I think I actually don't do here, when you're done with a queue, for example here, I'm only really interested in having inventory 2 up as long as this code is running, so that I have it on hand. So I really should delete it because then my RAM is going to get flooded with empty queues. So I'm going to say ds. So this line here won't have any impact on the program that's running, but it will be a little bit more efficient computer-wise. So that over time, if I were to leave this up for say 5 days, then I would get an annoying likely blue screen because my computer's running out of RAM. Anyhow, that's the priority queue. I don't believe I've done this with the other data structures videos that I've made, but I will put this file available for download in the description of this video so that you can go and mess around with it. Because I think these things can be a little bit more difficult to wrap your head around than the other data structures if you're not already familiar with them. I suppose somebody did ask me questions about uses for these things, these different data structures. So here, off the top of my head, if you want to have a pre-sorted set of values, perhaps you want to index all of the enemies on the screen in accordance to their proximity to the character or something like that, or the amount of HP they have. Maybe you're breaking a tower defense game or something. You would be best off using a priority queue because it will be a lot faster than adding them to an array or list and manually sorting the list based on whatever parameter. And I am sure that pretty much anybody watching this, if they do think about it, if they do program a lot in GameMaker, they will come across a situation where having a pre-sorted list like the priority queue will be useful. Anyhow, that's all I have here. I do hope you all enjoyed that. Rate, comment, and subscribe, watch all the stuff I've uploaded, and I will see you all later.